live from New York. It's the show that is a fan of caroling.
I heard.
I went caroling this weekend.
Guess which year?
Loved it. Loved it. Out there
Have you ever
singing.
been caroling?
I've not.
Next year, you're going. It's so much fun.
You had time for caroling? And
I'll
you
leave
didn't have
that
time
to you,
watch
man.
Patriots Bills with me? We had a whole
Once
thing
at night.
set up.
That was at 4:25.
We had
I'll
a
leave the
whole-
caroling
First hour,
to you.
we're all doing caroling. We're starting with the Ravens, doubling up the Steelers, 34-17. Lamar had 3 touchdowns, and Derrick Henry ran all over the "you can't run on us" Steelers defense. Russ helped with 2 turnovers. Lamar improves to 2-4 against Pittsburgh. Brew, did you like what you saw from your Ravens?
What do you think?
Well, I would say yes.
No one, fellas, no one makes themselves at home against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Not Washington, not the Chargers, not Cincinnati, not Philadelphia. You might beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, but you do not make yourself at home against the Pittsburgh Steelers, whether it's in Pittsburgh or in your own ballpark. Until yesterday. Until the Ravens, who finally, just in the nick of time for the playoffs to start, put together a complete game. Lamar Jackson, you thought he was tight? How about terrific? Justin Tucker, ruined. How about remarkable?
Oh.
The defense, bad. How about bodacious? Derrick Henry, an afterthought. How about afterburners, which is what he turned on and going for 162 yards. And the penalties. This might be my favorite. Only 2 penalties for 10 yards. The Ravens yesterday were downright nasty.
Love it.
So nasty that they handed the Steelers their worst loss of the season. So nasty, they were downright inhospitable. They were terrible hosts, discourteous, rude.
Rude.
All right, that's what they were. They were Riles. You know what they had the audacity to do yesterday to their visitors?
I mean, usually when I had people over for
You
holiday,
treat them nicely,
yeah, we
right?
have it spread out.
Not these Ravens.
Get out.
Like I said, nasty. They actually told the Steelers,
No.
fetch me a robe.
Oh.
And while you're at it, that's right, give me a sandwich
In there.
with some potato chips
Just laughing.
and a soda pop.
Wow.
So yes, Wilds,
Yeah.
a brother was pleased with what he saw.
Can we get
Good
you
answer.
a bigger soda pop?
Well-
that looked like Andre the Giant holding
This
that.
is why we made it even worse. They brought this little small one. It's a couple sips. I wanted more, but yeah, they put it on them, and I liked
So
it.
Brew was impressed.
This is the first time the Ravens have looked like the team Brew has wanted them to be all year since the Buffalo game in Week 4, right?
Yes.
Would you agree? This was
That
their
was
most,
obviously that was
even more of a
impressive, but
blowout.
yeah.
But the stakes of this game were higher.
Yes.
It was an opponent that they had lost 8 of 9 to, as Lamar had lost 4 of his 5 starts to, and this Ravens team, that's one we saw for about 3 hours and 15 minutes on Sunday, is a contender.
Yeah.
Complementary football, they can overcome what I thought, and we'll talk more about it later. I know Brew, if
Yeah,
he's
that's
being
what I want to get
honest,
to.
was what I thought was going to be a back-breaking mistake after a great game. The Lamar pick.
interception?
Yeah, because it felt like the Ravens were about to, they just knelt the ball and then kicked the field goal. It felt like the game was going to be over. And then it was like, oh no, they could lose. Justin Tucker made his kicks. The defense.
51 yards?
Yeah, the defense continued its recent trend of playing well. And most importantly, Lamar, I'll drop a banner for him.
Wow.
I mean, this is kind of damning with faint praise. That's the biggest win of Lamar's career. It's on the very short list.
You talking about regular season win? Because they beat Houston. He was great against Houston last year. Playoff game.
Playoff game that Houston scored 10 points in that game, so they probably win even if he doesn't play great. Like, this was division on the line. I know some folks consider the Steelers nothing other than Cincinnati East, but their hated rival, and he played great. Unfortunately, and this is where I see where you can play tiebreaker wilds, everything Bruce said is correct, that is the Ravens recipe. Mm-hmm. They have given us no reason to believe they are going to be able to duplicate that week after week come the postseason. I do think they're going to win the division now, by the way, because I think they're going to beat Houston, and then they have Cleveland in the final game. Pittsburgh just has to lose once, and Pittsburgh's going to lose on Christmas to Kansas City. Yep. So I think Baltimore is going to get, like right now it looks like this for Baltimore. Round 1, Harbaugh Bowl, 3-6 in Baltimore.
Love it.
Round 2 in Buffalo, who they've already beaten.
Right.
And then obviously round 3 in Arrowhead. I know you wouldn't. I think there would be no shame at all if this season ends on the field at Arrowhead with the Chiefs. Everyone is just going to be like, man, that's the dynasty, and it would mean they won 2 playoff games against 2 live opponents. What is frustrating about Baltimore is this type of game should live in them all the time, and it took us almost 3 months between them for the season. And so it was a great game, and I was impressed. I would be lying to the audience if I thought this means they have turned a corner as opposed to they looked like the best version of themselves for this week.
Here's what I will say, though. The defense. And early in the year when the defense was horrible, I was saying that culture.
Oh, here we go.
No, that's a defensive organization. Like for under Harbaugh, how long has he been there? 17 years, whatever it's been. They are going to defend. And look at the improvement in their defense. Yep. First 10 games, arguably the worst in the league. Last 5, arguably, I wouldn't call them the best.
You don't like the yards per game.
They lead in
stat.
3. No, but look at the points. Points would be top 10.
6, yeah.
That's way down. And they played actually some teams that can put points on the board. So, look, the defense, obviously they've been up and down this year and haven't been consistent. But, yeah, they are getting better at the right time. So, we will see.
Would you feel, but real quick, would you be okay with that path? Because that's the path they're going to have.
The Chargers game wasn't as close as the score. It was 7 points. Buffalo, I mean, they trounced Buffalo. I'm not saying it'd be easy. It wouldn't. But I think they're
Buffalo.
Buffalo's defense, they're going to be able to score against them. And then if the Ravens' defense is improvement,
Patriots almost beat Buffalo. Ravens will be fine. Saturday in Arrowhead. The champs stayed the champs via a 27-19 win over the Texans. They're 14-1. Any concerns about Mahomes' ankle pretty quickly extinguished as he scampered in for only his 2nd rushing touchdown of the year. Were you surprised by Mahomes' performance?
No, and none of us were.
I know. I thought it was.
And I warned you guys, the utter foolishness by Tim Settle would rear its head. And it did, to the tune of one of the longest touchdown runs of Mahomes' career instantly right off the bat, which was early in the game. He already had one long run. He trips there. There are Texans flailing about on the ground. And wait, who's that? Oh, that's Tim Settle. And you can say, oh, Nick, this is a media thing. Football players get it. He was just answering the question. Well, let's ask a guy who is building through 3 years the quickest Hall of Fame resume of any interior offensive lineman maybe ever. First team All-Pro perennial Pro Bowl center Creed Humphrey, who Instagrammed broken promises.
The shorter the response, the better.
The better, right.
It's a savvy strategy.
Creed, my dear friend who I've celebrated many a championship with, and we have a video of him bear hugging me and picking me up off the ground like a small child from the last parade. I'm going to steal his line. Because it was broken promises, or promise broken by Tim Settle. And of course, all this Chiefs team does is beat playoff teams better than any team in the league. We can show you those numbers. People can say, oh, they've had, what schedule have they had other than, I don't know, man, They're 6-1 against playoff teams. Now, we don't yet know exactly what the playoff field is. So if we expand it to, okay, what about your record against all of the teams that have not yet been eliminated from playoff contention? Yeah, they're the best in that spot too. That's also a good Ravens graphic because of those 2 wins against the Bengals helped them out there. And all year long, they have been doing what I told you they were doing, and we saw it starting to manifest itself these last couple weeks, which is working on things so by the end of the year, their 170-pound rookie receiver is peaking like Rashee Rice was. Figuring out the left tackle position to the tune of, you know what, Joe Tooney, you play it. That's our break glass in case of emergency. And all week I heard about this terrifying Texans pass rush. Didn't seem that terrifying to me. And then the right tackle went out with injury, and Wanya Morris, who had been playing left tackle for the Chiefs, slid over there and did fine. They have been working on different defensive ideas all year, holding back on the Spags blitzes to work on different things so they can peak at the right time to the tune of allowing less than 20 points in 4 straight games. This Patrick is always going to perform his best when the moment demands it. We have seen that throughout his entire career, so that shouldn't surprise anyone. And the Chiefs now having a real chance to set the all-time single-season wins record, which right now is 18. They can do that without, they can tie it without even playing guys in the extra game, is now on the board, which is so odd to me for a team that all year long the conversation's been what's wrong with them. But we see a Bills team struggle with New England. The Eagles lose. The Lions lose a week ago. The only team as hot as the Chiefs is the Vikings, who nobody seems to talk about, and we'll talk about them later. So, no, I'm not surprised. And no one should be surprised, and everyone eventually at the end is going to act like they're not surprised, even though all year long it was, man, they can lose to the Texans. They are the most vulnerable Chiefs team I've ever seen. Well, it's the worst Chiefs team of the whole Mahomes era. That's been the narrative, and now, of course, they're like, oh, wait, 14-1, they'll probably wrap up the 1 seed on Christmas Day.
What bad ankle? I mean, he looked like Patrick Mahomes. Not just the touchdown run, but which brought, who was it he ran over early in the season? It was kind of like that. I mean, he didn't run a guy over, but he was ready for the contact.
Malik Mustafa.
But the 12-yard scamper a few plays earlier. Like, he ran, I mean, he was Patrick Mahomes. And one of the things that impressed me, Nick, was the offensive line. Because we were hearing about Houston's defensive line for a reason. But he got sacked 1 time and only got hit 4 times. So they did, you know, they looked impressive. I thought Houston had a shot. I didn't pick them to win it, but I thought they had a shot.
I feel like after the Tank Dell injury, 38 yards. I feel like that was the emotional.
It definitely, I mean, you could see C.J. Stroud was just, and he said that's his best friend. That was tough.
The team kind of, I don't think
but, I mean, I think the Chiefs would have won anyway, but yeah, look, the Chiefs just win. And Patrick Mahomes is just a straight-up football player. He's a great, obviously, quarterback, but he is a football player, and he shows it to you in times like this.
Can I give you a theory? I've got teams that started 14-1 or better. You'll see here, you see a lot of, you know, deep runs, but not a lot of W's here. My theory is all these teams kind of were on cruise control and didn't maybe necessarily they either peaked too soon, they either dealt with an injury, they had close games that they weren't ready for, as I'd call that my Patriots there. I feel like the Chiefs have had such a rocky road to 14-1. I actually think they're peaking at just the right time.
Can we leave this up for a second?
That's my theory.
I actually kind of disagree. So just real quick. The 98 Vikings are still one of the 2 best teams I've ever seen. They had a kicker who literally didn't miss a single kick all year, then missed the kick that caused them to lose that game. The 04 Steelers had a great record. Nobody that year thought they were the better team. It was the defending champion 04 Patriots going for back-to-back. The 07 Patriots, that is still one of the oddest results in NFL history. The 09 Colts, they started 14-0.
We got punched in the mouth. We weren't ready for that. But I'm saying the Chiefs have been getting
This
punched.
is a factual graphic.
This is a factual graphic. I just want to remind the audience of the context of it. The 09 Colts lost in the Super Bowl to a team that started 13-0. They started 14-0. That was the 09 Saints. The 2011, the Packers are.
That's when they were 15-1.
Yes, 15-1, defending Super Bowl champions in this freezing cold Tom Coughlin game. The Panthers one is, to me, relevant, but a lot of people thought that team was overachieving to a degree. And then you had the Chiefs on there and one other one. We took it off. I don't think this Chiefs team's only comp are all-time other legendary teams. So I know you were saying that, like, it's the only comp. They just broke the record for the 1999ers as the best record for the defending Super Bowl champion. They started 13-2. The Chiefs started 14-1. You said the last 30 years. You do have two teams that started 14-1 right outside that window that won the Super Bowl. The 84 Niners with Montana and the 85 Bears, many think of the best team ever. But this Chiefs season makes so much more sense if the audience recognizes that the worries were all nonsense the whole time. I know.
We'll find out. Because if they lose and if they don't win the Super Bowl or get to the Super Bowl, you won't be able to say
they'll be on that graphic, and it will be that team was 14-1, but they kept on pulling magic
Historically,
out.
Historically, it would be looked at as they got lucky in a lot of these
Other
games.
people, other versions of you will dismiss this team like you kind of just dismiss, like, nobody thought they were that good.
No, I didn't say that about any of those teams, except the only team that people, I think, had real skepticism of was the Cam Newton Panthers, because they had no expectations going into the year. The Steelers, it was just that there was another juggernaut that was the defending champion. But listen, everyone else is a flavor of the month. In the offseason, it was San Francisco, and then Baltimore caught a little steam, but then Baltimore lost early in the year. Then it quickly turned to Detroit, then it turned to Buffalo, then to Philadelphia. And the point I'm making is, and now it's back to the Chiefs being where they should be, which is, it's such an absurdity that they weren't there already. The Super Bowl favorites, they should have been that all season long. But if we talked about the other teams in the context exclusively of what are their potential weaknesses that could prevent them from winning the Super Bowl, then people would be convinced those teams are as flawed. The Chiefs have only been discussed under that lens, similar to the Patriots during their run, which was the wins mattered nothing, the losses mattered everything. And so I think it's been very obvious what's been going on with this team all year, and people have somehow changed the rules on winning mattering for teams.
Head to D.C. 10 seconds left. Commanders down 33-28. Jaden drops back and finds Jamison Crowder in the back of the end zone to go up one and win the game. 5 touchdowns on the day for Jaden. Brew, we'll start with you here. What was the number one story? The Commanders win or the Eagles lose?
This is confusing.
I had to give LeBron some love. I always bring out the Jordans, the LeBrons. And it's tough to find
those are nice.
Commanders colors.
Yeah.
This doesn't mean much for the Eagles. Like, it's a loss. They had won 10 straight. They were due. They lost their starting quarterback.
Well, that's the thing.
Right? It was a division opponent. So this means nothing. The Commanders is huge. Jaden Daniels, now that he's kind of healthy, we think he was banged up midway through the season with the ribs. He is balling. And I don't think they can win the NFC. But I do think that they could upset a higher seed and ruin their season maybe in the first round of the playoffs. And for those that don't know, I'm up here like this because it was my upset alert.
I was going to say.
And I am rolling.
And Brew?
I am right there on Coach and Greg's heels.
You are.
I'm close.
Well, no, you had a chance to take the lead if your bum Patriots could have not blown a 14-point lead. But we'll get to them later. Brew, great job on the upset alert. Great job by me picking the Commanders plus 3.5. Terrible, embarrassing job by Danny Parkins picking the Eagles minus 3.5.
Did you catch him?
Well, no.
No, he
well,
went 3-0.
No, he didn't go 3-0. He tweeted he went 3-0, thinking the Eagles had the game won, and it was an all-time announcer jinx.
Wow.
And so he actually went 2-1, as did I. So I remain a game behind him.
I gave that a like.
Yeah. Terrible job by him. Watch Breakfast Ball for his groveling apology. But Brew is correct. The Eagles lost. We assume Jalen's going to be fine. They basically are locked into the 2 lines, so they can sit him this week if they want. Somewhat concerning, allowing an 8-play 96-yard touchdown drive, 11-play 61-yard touchdown drive, 7-play 87-yard touchdown drive, and then the 9-play 57-yard touchdown. Like, those are long, sustained drives.
It's supposed to be the best
right, for a defense they've been playing great. But the story is Jaden. Because Jaden Daniels, if you believe what I believe, which is that rib injury drastically impacted him, then you look at him, and we can show you the season. Pre-rib injuries, the top line. Awesome. Yeah. He got hurt, and then we threw that game out because he barely played in it. And then his team wasn't that good. He wasn't that good. But 6 weeks to recover from it. The last 3 games, awesome again. This guy is a star. And I still am very concerned about his long-term viability because of his frame and the injury question. But he has had, Brew, first ever win was a game-winning drive against the Giants. The touchdown pass to ice the Cincinnati game. The Hail Mary against Chicago. The Hail Mary that didn't even win the game against Dallas but could have forced overtime. And now the touchdown throw against Philly. He's had 4 or 5 iconic moments as a rookie. So that's the story for the Commanders season and for this game.
He almost is playing not like a... I know everybody's a rookie. Look at Drake May. It's like, Drake May's a rookie, threw another interception. Caleb, afraid to throw interceptions, keeps losing. Jaden, I'm like, you're a quarterback in this league. That I don't tag him with he's a rookie. He's just playing amazing football. Quickly, the other story here, Saquon's 270 away. He had a big game.
I think it's going to be really interesting if Saquon, if they are officially locked into the 2 line after this next week, if they rest him for Week 18, which they should do. Also, we didn't get to your Patriots-Wilds or the other big game of the day, which, come on, guys, think about roller coasters, is they do eventually go down.
Josh Allen, it's like a tease
that
to
train's
break.
never late. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.